So it's been a kind of an unusual time. We closed down the pub, as you know, the weekend of March 15th. And since then, we're kind of in limbo. Obviously, public health is first and foremost in our thoughts. But now that we're coming out the other side of it, we would hope that in the near future we might be able to resume some kind of business activity. We issued a number of key proposals, and I suppose, like I said, public health is foremost in our minds. And I suppose, as an industry, we were the first to close, and we've been very proactive. The government roadmap outlined that restaurants would open in phase 3, but pubs only in phase 5. And we've taken issue with that because we feel there are many reasons why a pub can operate the same criteria as a restaurant. I suppose really what we're calling for is equality in the treatment of pubs and restaurants and all hospitality businesses. And we feel we're very well placed, certainly a lot of our members are very well placed to fulfill those. And we must bear in mind that a lot of pubs now, they serve food, and after takeaway food, pub restaurants are the largest supplier of foods and a food entertainment experience in Ireland, not just in the cities, but probably in rural areas where you don't have many restaurants or cafes. So I suppose we outlined to the government a series of proposals which would include very safe, and we want to base that on clearly defined criteria from the Department of Health and NEFIT. And we've outlined a series of measures that we felt we could implement. Those would include, say, social distancing. For example, the bar not being used as a bar, but only as a dispense bar. That people would sit at the tables where you can see there's plenty of room, socially distanced, and that the bartender would provide the drinks to the tables, and people then wouldn't have that fear of encroaching on another person's space. We also called for a look at outdoor spaces, how they could be used, and many pubs will have large outdoor spaces that could be used quite safely. We also would like to implement hand sanitizing on the way into the pub, and then vigorous staff training, so the staff would wash hands every 30 minutes, and all the different protocols that would be laid down, which we're calling for from the Department of Health, that those could be implemented through staff training. As you can see, there are different areas in the pub. We also have a large beer garden out to the back, and coupled with staff training, we feel we could implement that. It would work here, but then again, it might not work in all pubs. Even, for example, here, you would dramatically reduce your occupancy, in the premises to maybe 40%, and that's where the tricky bit comes. For a lot of pubs, that would not be viable. You have to hire staff, you have to ensure the business is up and running as it would, whether you're full or 2/3 empty. So it would be very difficult because lots of businesses would have to make decisions as to whether they can afford to do that, because perhaps you might not be making enough revenue to cover the costs. So they're very uncharted times, but I suppose I come back to the fact that really what we're asking for is the opportunity to be treated equally. After that, pubs and businesses and pub restaurants, gastropubs, which we have many members, would be able to make a decision based on clear guidelines, being treated equally like other hospitality businesses.